Father Miller here. Welcome back to the Nerd Father. This is our fifth or sixth First Saturday chat, and we're actually on First Saturday today. So I'm happy to have with us this morning for the first time the Mega Geek. Good to see you, Ian.
Good to
Yay.
see you, sir.
So we got John Trent from Bounding into Comics and Miss Martin Muses. Odin's movie blog might be joining us a little bit later, and Lady Gravemaster should be coming on too. So,
I don't think.
I
think Lady Gravemaster said she's feeling down, so she's not going to be joining.
Okay, I didn't see, so that's okay.
If she lost her voice.
Oh no, shouting at Gary.
Yeah, probably.
I gotta say, I probably shouldn't admit this, but I did love Problem Beans' As video.
Uh-huh.
And for those watching, it's AZ.
Oh.
So I have to be careful how you say that. So
As.
So how's everybody doing?
Doing all right. Here in the UK, we're still on lockdown, and it's sunny outside, so it's a bit of a bummer, really. But there you go.
Dang. So when you're on lockdown, you even can't even go outside?
You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to.
Gee.
Yeah, so there you go. But I see a lot of people outside, so you know. I was going to get outside, but I promised Father I'd be on.
The greater good.
Is Johnson going to survive?
Don't know.
Is Boris going to survive this?
Well, here's hoping that he does. Well, of course he will. But he needs a comb, and that's what he needs. You know what I mean? Definitely.
Well, so, what's his name? The labor leader. He kind of had a downfall.
Yeah. Corbyn. But you know what?
He looks like Donna's dad from Doctor Who. That's what it always reminds me of.
Seriously, though, politics is just a big waste of time, in my opinion. I don't bother with politics, me. It's a waste of my time.
Let's see.
Well, I'll tell you what, after what's happened in the last few months in the United States, the hermit life is sounding really good to me right now. All this public action stuff, it's like, no, I think I'll retreat with my rosary beads. Thank you. You guys take care of it. They had the right idea.
They did indeed.
I'll thankfully be making my retreat in about 2 months, I think.
Yay.
One of the things I have to do as a priest, we're required to go on retreat once a year. So
all right.
We usually have a silent retreat for about 4 days, and last year was an interesting one because there was only 10 of us, when normally there would be 50 priests on the retreat.
But when you say you go on a retreat, what does that involve?
Okay, so usually what happens is they have a priest that leads the retreat. So there's usually 2 lectures a day, usually given on a topic and everything. The one that I had 3 years ago, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, was by can't remember, but he's the priest that does a lot of the Divine Mercy talks. He's wrote a lot of books about Divine Mercy, and he gave our retreat. And that was pretty good. So basically, it's silent retreat, a lot of time for prayer, mass every day, praying in the office. This is my breviary. So this is what I have to pray 5 times a day.
All right.
So we pray that together. And like I said, it's a lot of time just to get away.
Wow.
Not have people bothering you every 5 seconds. People always say that priests need to be married. It's like, how would they have time?
As I tell people, it's like, you better be ready to cough up more on the contribution plate.
Well, I know every woman that I know that's married to a priest is all for priestly celibacy. Like, you'll never see your husband ever again.
So I actually know a married priest in the diocese next to me. Got to know his family pretty good. He's probably in his early 70s, but he has a small parish. I don't think they give a big parish to a priest like that. Mostly because of the time demands and everything.
Wait a minute, I thought priests weren't allowed to marry.
Special exceptions. Now,
Oh,
in the
okay.
Eastern Rite of the churches, like the Melkites, the Byzantine, I don't know what the Byzantines do, but the Melkites can get married. But in the Latin Rite, if one is a convert and was a minister in their previous denomination, they can be received into the priesthood.
Oh, okay. Did not know
But that
that.
has to be approved. That has to be approved by Rome.
All right. Did not know that either.
So,
God, learn something new every day.
oh, I'm still learning stuff myself.
Yeah.
So, but as I was mentioning before we went live, for those watching, there was a priest in Kansas that died in a Korean prisoner of war camp, and they just found his bones yesterday. Father Emil Kaplan, who is a priest of the Diocese of Wichita, was captured in 1951 and was declared dead in 1953. So, really heroic priest. I probably will have to do a video on him sometime, but anyway, he's up for sainthood right now.
Oh,
So, anyway, so yeah,
For sure.
that's a bit.
the what?
Start off with something depressing when
No,
somebody's died.
Sainthood is
Heaven.
no.
He went
No,
to
this
heaven and
is-
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, he's gone to heaven. I know he's gone to heaven, but it's still depressing when somebody dies, especially the way they die. You know, it's not nice.
You
But
might
there
not
go.
want to read the early history of the church then.
Yeah, no, I know the early history of the church. I'm just saying.
He would have cried the whole time in Rome.
Well, one
so
of the
sad.
things I did in my church history class was I made my kids research a martyr of the 20th century. Didn't even have to be Catholic, somebody that died for their faith. And after the first year, I made two exceptions. They couldn't do the girl from Columbine that was asked if she believed in Jesus, and they couldn't do St. Maximilian Kolbe because I probably had 20 of his. I take it, do you all know about St. Maximilian Kolbe?
Oh.
He was a Polish priest that died at Auschwitz. And he sacrificed himself to take the place of another prisoner that was going to be condemned to death. Because whenever somebody escaped from the camp, they put 10 people to death as a warning, as like, don't ever try this again or else you'll die. So the guy that was picked started crying out that he had a wife and kids. And Kobe ended up taking his spot and died on the 14th of August, so the vigil of the Assumption. And the neat thing is the guy survived the war and was present at Kobe's canonization.
Yep.
And Poland in the 30s was really a powerhouse because not only did you have St. Maximilian Kolbe, you had St. Faustina, the Divine Mercy, and you had Karol Wojtyla, who became Pope John Paul II.
And Saint John Paul. Yeah, and he had a great devotion to the Immaculata. That's what Colby would do. And when he died, it wasn't just a simple death. They actually put them into a starvation bunker area until they died. And then after several days, he and I think one other was still alive. And I think they
he was
gave
the
them
last one alive.
Yeah, they gave him a fatal injection. I have one of my besties. She was able to, on a pilgrimage, they went to Auschwitz and they were able to see the place where he spent his last days. And of course, paying devotion to everything that happened there and all the heroism. But she said it was incredibly powerful being in that room.
I would like to visit sometime. As
Yeah,
I was saying before, I have enough miles to go back to Europe. So, as I told Ian, I want to get to London because I want to see the World War II museums.
Oh, I can take you there. Not a problem.
You can join the Jack the Ripper tour, Father. Hey, I did it, and my sister dragged me on it, but I was actually kind of glad I did. There was loads of history.
When we're off lockdown, I guess, when everybody can travel.
If
I mean, this world's just crazy at the moment, but there you go.
Texas and Mississippi.
All hail the mighty state. Oh, but don't you
I might
love
be
it though? Now everyone's wishing death upon us all and slow, painful deaths. And they've been saying for the past year, save yourselves and then die.
Yeah,
Texas.
we
It's like,
did,
it's like
we
Palpatine.
did that in the Daily Stupid. He was basically just hoping that because they lifted the mask mandate, they lifted all the mandates and everything, the lockdowns in Texas. Michael Moore's like, well, Texas doesn't deserve to get vaccines.
Yeah. Well, here's what's stupid.
Really disgusting.
People don't get through their stinking stupid heads. Oh gosh, I got to be nice. I'm on Father's channel.
That's right.
He
No
lifted
profanity,
the
no profanity.
state-wide mandate. So meaning like, okay, if you're like in West Texas or out in a ranch with 3 cows and 1 person, or 1,000 cow 1 person, but the local municipalities and government, they can still keep the mask mandate. We're still masked. And from what I understand, we're going to keep the masks on. It's not that everyone can, throw off their masks. It's that it's not statewide. So the local governments will be making the decision. And perhaps it does make sense in cities, and especially large cities, or if you are, for example, where I am working in the system in which I work, it's across the board. It's like as a district, we are saying masks. So the people that are saying that stuff are ignorant and uncharitable. And it's like, come on, people. I know we Catholics are supposed to love their neighbor, but it'd be nice if some other people gave a little bit of that love back.
Sure, Jesus will have a problem with that. Supposed to love everyone.
I probably shouldn't be enjoying this, but I'm having a lot of Schadenfreude over Cuomo. And Father Galfont wanted me to make sure I bashed Andrew.
Oh, yes. I wish I could have heard the New Yorkie. Well,
he has a funeral this morning.
Well, what's sad though is that what's happening is that he's being canceled over something that he shouldn't even be possibly canceled for, but like the worst stuff isn't even the stuff that's getting him.
Yeah, like you would
nursing
think
home stuff isn't the stuff that's getting him. It's Me Too.
Yeah, you think mass murder would be enough to maybe get somebody in trouble?
I shouldn't even be laughing on that, but yeah. I mean, this is the guy that basically signed one of the most lax abortion bills in the country, allowing abortion up to the moment of birth. And yet he also passed a law, I think, to outline decline your cat.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Well, it just goes to show that the culture of death, you cannot. They say it's just with the preborn, but it's all life that they do not respect, and especially because we have in this situation an explicit example of the elderly and the sick do not have, I guess, the right to life. It never stops with just one class of citizen.
Yeah.
I'm pretending I know what you're talking about or who this person is, but I have no clue what you guys are talking about.
Okay. That's the governor of New York.
He's the governor of like the second most populous state in the country.
And what did he do?
He shipped a bunch of people who had COVID into nursing homes,
right,
and got them all infected
and lied about it.
Covered it up. And then he received an Emmy Award for his excellent coverage of his press conferences that he was on TV every single day discussing like what New York was doing with the pandemic, and he received an Emmy Award for it. And while he was doing it, he was sending people to their deaths. And President Trump sent like a huge Navy ship, hospital ship, and then he also had I think they converted the Javits Center, and he didn't even use Cuomo didn't even use any of them. Instead, he sent them knowingly to the nursing homes, and those nursing homes they weren't prepared either. They didn't have any of the PPE and all that stuff when he sent them there too. And they told him that it's all documented. And then he was I think he was someone came out and said that he was threatening to destroy his life and career if he spoke out against him. One of his deputies or something like that as well. So
did he get arrested or something?
No. They're
Why?
trying to put political pressure on him now through him inappropriately touching a bunch of women and coming out and accusing him of like sexual misconduct. Yeah. That's what's really like coming after him. It's not the nursing home stuff. It's these women accusing him of sexual misconduct is where he's actually facing the political pressure.
I've got to admit, guys, I've never ever voted in my life, ever. And that shocks you, but no, I've never believed in politics at all. I've never believed in anyone in those associations. I always thought that, well, I mean, it's been proven time and time again that the system doesn't work and they're corrupt. So why should I contribute to that? I've always thought that, and nothing that I've heard so far has changed my mind. You know, but it's interesting.
I'll tell you what,
interesting though, Ian. Oh, I'm sorry. Isn't it interesting, Ian, that you didn't know about this?
No,
that's a corrupt state of our media. That every
Trump would cough, and it would be all around the world, and we saw people protesting all over the world. We have a governor accused of mass murder, and he's getting away with it because he's a Democrat. We have children back.
No one is protesting because it's a Democrat doing it. No, people protested during. People did not rather protest when it happened during Obama. And I remember it being so creepy when suddenly Trump was president and all of a sudden everyone all over the world was protesting. I was like, where were you the last 8 years? Now it's back. That is what is creepy. And that is why, Father, you can maybe help us out with this, because I've got some people that are really starting to think we're getting and stuff, because we've not seen anything like this globally where someone can have murder. And most people don't even know about it.
There. I didn't.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, she's gone.
Well, I will say the thing that makes me angry, and it's kind of getting to what Miss Martin was saying, the governor's brother has a primetime show on CNN. And during the thing that shall not be named, he and his brother were doing a back and forth almost every night. And
it was a comedy show.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, let me see if I can bring up that image.
But it's strange, don't you think?
Yeah, well, that's just what I'm saying is, and that's why we're so creeped out, is because when Democrats can get away with literal mass murder, and no one will even report on it. That's what's so creepy about this, and the fact of what bothers about the show is. This was happening while he was sending the elderly and sometimes the not so elderly to their deaths, literally.
But why does people support people like that, though? Why do I never understood this? It's been proven year in, year out since we've known that politicians are corrupt. And it doesn't matter who they are. There's some kind of corruption in their history. Yet you all run like sheep to vote for people like that, and to actually hold up the organization that is totally corrupt. So I've never understood that. That's why I've never voted. Even when I was 16, I instinctively knew that's what it was all about. And I've heard the argument, people going, well, if you don't vote, things won't change. But the thing is, though, if you vote, you're basically putting a band-aid on the problem. You're putting a what as we call it, a plaster on a wound that will not heal. You're not treating
here in
the wound,
America,
you're just putting a band-aid on it. That's all you're doing.
Well, what we've got going on here in America is different than the normal corruption that usually is going on, and because it used to even be in the past that a politician, no matter whether they had a D or an R next to their name, would not get away with this kind of stuff. But part of the reason why people tend to vote for them is because they promise them free stuff. And I swear, since we are talking about a faith and whatever show, it seems to me that the deceiver is been hard at work and has been, sadly, it seems very successful.
I also think there is. I mean, I think there's plenty of evidence that voting can matter. I think we had 4 years of President Donald Trump, and he might have not done everything I would wanted him to do, but he did plenty of stuff, and definitely changed a lot of things here in the United States from the previous, I would say 16 plus years or even longer than that. So I mean, politicians can have effect. You see, I mean, we see it here with our federalist system. You see, Texas got rid of their mask mandate. Mississippi got rid of theirs too. They on the statewide level. While you see, and just whatever, all the stuff that was happening during, I guess, the pandemic, you saw what was like North Dakota had such different measures than, say, Michigan. So you do see that the people who are in charge do matter. But to that, we could argue whether or not you could argue systems too. I mean, which I think Thomas Aquinas has done a really good job outlining what the best systems is. If you want to go that way.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, look at. I hate to ask, John, but what grade were you in 2000?
In 2000?
I'm going to regret this. Yeah.
Yeah, I was in 6th grade, I think.
Oh my gosh, I'm feeling old.
Do you remember
You're too young.
2000 at all?
I remember we did. Yeah, so we did a mock election with Bush and Gore in our at our school, at our elementary school.
I mean, Bush only won Florida by what, 500 votes?
700.
Yeah, that was the Supreme Court ruling, right? Came down on that. Yeah.
Sort of, because there were voting irregularities. What has changed since 2000 and 2020?
Let me see if I got that other picture.
I think the thing is, though, is that, you know, even though there is some good done within the system, it still goes back to, you know, greedy people trying to take advantage of the world. And the more you vote and the more people support this system, the worse it's going to get, because when something is bad, and if nobody tries to stop it in its tracks, it will grow and grow and grow. And this is what we're faced now. Now the press is really bad that you don't know what to believe, and they're taking fully advantage of that. And plus, technology has gotten to the point where politicians can take advantage of that and make us believe what they want us to believe, or the mass of people, or the normies. And it's getting worse. So I'm sorry, but I go back to my argument where you just put in a plaster or a band-aid on the problem. You're not treating the wound. And the wound is that the organizations in the whole of the entire world, every government is corrupt. And until we focus on that problem, until we try to solve that problem, it'll always be this way. So what's the point of voting?
Right. So I think what you're really getting at, you're not like criticizing a system. We live in a fallen world, right? So people, you're always going to be dealing with that no matter what kind of system you're in. That doesn't mean we shouldn't be working to try and get to that to what is it, the more how did the achieve like pursuit of happiness, or trying to get to that I don't know, I'm not sure what the right word I want to say here is, like we want to work towards getting closer to God and being more like him. And so like that's all on a personal level. And obviously when you have people who don't reject God, they're not going to be beholden to what they should be doing. They're not going to follow the virtues that are the cardinal virtues, and then the what are the three: faith, hope, and charity.
Virtues.
Well, and Father, this is reminding me too, though, as perspective from faith, is that the whole city of God versus the city of man, and that ultimately it will always be a failure if you're just looking at the world, and that our perspective actually is more on the spiritual level. And that's kind of where I am, is seeing that when I'm talking about the great deceiver has been greatly at work, because this is a spiritual matter. It's not something that can be solved or should be, or I don't know, Father, help me out here.
I've been wanting to read is Thomas More's Utopia,
which means no place.
Well, I mean, it's his idea of the perfect government, I think.
Yeah, well, it means no place, so it's a pun. I love the
That's what I'm saying. But the thing is, though, you can never ever get perfect government. I understand that, right? But the government is very, 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 and if you add 5 more years into the future, very, 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 very bad, and it's getting worse. And see, and if you don't tackle that problem, if you don't tackle the wound, it's never going to be repaired, or repaired to a point that we can work with, if you know what I mean.
I gotta say, the thing I like about British politics is you have more than just 2 parties. And I mean, here, if you want a third party, it's pretty much impossible. I mean,
Yeah.
the last time that really happened was Ross Perot back in '92 and '96, and I think in '92 he took about 18% of the vote.
And then he quit, though.
And because of Perot, we had Clinton.
Yeah, but he also quit. He also quit midway.
And the thing is, in the UK, the third party doesn't matter because, you know, nobody votes for them, or very little people vote for them, so there's no point in having them there. You know, it's ridiculous.
I love the Blackadder. I think it's the Elizabethan age where they have the election where Baldric runs and they got all the silly political names.
So I want to go back to you because I know you're making an argument about politics, but I think you can also look at it when you're not even voting. Look at corporations here in the United States today, across the spectrum, from what's happening in Hollywood with J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot and his like guide for like whatever, I forget what it's called, and then you have Coca-Cola doing that. The Be Less White stuff. And then just look at Disney and how they're treating people. So it's not just a political system problem. And I think what you have to really get at is that's our mission as Catholics, is to evangelize and spread the good news of Christ. And that's the only way you can really, I think you can really treat what you're really talking about. I
totally agree. Totally agree with you, John. Totally agree with you. But what I'm saying is that I find it pointless, me personally. You know, I have nothing against people who want to vote and who thinks that going through the system will change the world, no matter how temporary it is. That's fine with them. But give me something to vote for. I've never seen anyone that I wanted to vote for at all, ever in my lifetime. And I'm 54. Do you know what I mean? So I've never seen anyone ever. So there you go. But I do understand what you're saying, John, and Father, and Mrs. Muse.
Teresa, you can still call me Teresa.
No, yeah, I'm joking, but yeah, I do understand what you're saying totally, and I'm not against people voting. I'm just saying that me personally, I find it. I don't really want to vote because there's nothing to vote for, in my opinion, because it'll just revert back to the way it is. So, and I understand, right, that in a race, life's not about, you know, getting to the end game or getting to the finishing line, because there's no such thing as a finishing line. It just keeps going and going and going. You just got to appreciate what you've got and keep going and going and going. I understand that totally, as I said, but for me personally, I've decided I will never ever vote for anyone unless there's something good to vote for. So that's just where I stand. Yeah,
I think that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I've only voted 3 times. So.
3 times. Who did you vote for in the last one then?
I voted Trump. Twice.
Trump.
I wrote Trump 2016 and 2020, and then I voted Gary Johnson in 2012.
What do you think of this new one then? What do you think of the president now? I know a lot of people. There's a lot of people that don't like him, but my cousin,
an absolute disaster
in the States, she was rejoicing when Trump, you know, got out. I mean, you know, she's a huge supporter of getting Trump out.
Yeah, we see, and that's I think what it was. It was. Things are really actually very creepy right now under Biden, but again, it's really actually, and again, I you can't even talk anymore. You know, with all this talk about you'll be a domestic terrorist and tell on your neighbor,
you're an insurrectionist.
Yeah, and also I'm not even sure how much he's in charge. I don't know if you've seen some of his things lately. Like when he came to Texas,
they cut him off.
He couldn't put a sentence together, and they even cut him off. And we don't know who cut him off. Yeah, Father. Father's so nice. Go ahead, Father.
Yeah, but who's worse? Is it Trump or this fella? Because Trump had problems with that as well as public speaking, and this guy doesn't seem to be able to string a sentence together. So that's what I'm saying. You know, if I was an American and I was in the same thought process, I'd be like, "What's the point?" Yeah. They've just replaced him with somebody else that's just inept. You know what I mean?
Well, no. Trump was never. He might have been imprudent, but he had his faculties about him. What we're talking about with Biden is when we say he can't put a sentence, he speaks gibberish, and it's very disturbing. I mean, that's what I'm saying is, and it's so creepy that this isn't plastered everywhere. So we're not talking about just talking like a dork or being an idiot, you know, like a normal politician. We're talking a man that does not have his faculties.
Let me ask a question. Sorry. Do you think this is all leading up to a woman black president? I asked that question because
I give him a year.
Yeah, because that it's obvious that, well, to me, it looks like a film plot. What they've done is they've moved this old guy in because they know he's not going to last long, and then they put the second in charge, a black woman. The whole world's about the female agenda and powerful women and all that creeping into our pop culture and everything. So, do you think this is all by the powers that be, whoever they are? Do you think this is a plan to get a strong black woman as president? What do you guys think? Because, as I said, it looks like a movie plot to me. You know, I was just, you know, reading about it. I was like, I can guess the ending
behind
here.
It.
Yeah, exactly. We have to send Bond in. I don't know, mate. I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, you know, it just looks a bit weird to me.
Well, a lot of us, I know I was kidding before he got elected. It's like I give him about a year before they try to pull the 25th Amendment on him. And the 25th Amendment is dealing with somebody that has lost their mental capability, that can't function. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, but what does that say? Doesn't that hold up my argument about the corruption that's gotten worse in politics?
The big part of it is the media. The media wanted
they own the media.
I don't think anyone was arguing with you about how corrupt our political system has become. I fully am well aware of that. Yeah. I totally agree with you on that. And I was trying to offer a solution, and I think the solution has to come on that individual level.
Yeah. Well, all we can do is pray.
Certainly pray.
Yeah, definitely.
Theresa May, that was the former prime minister, wasn't it?
Yeah, in the US government. Yeah, Theresa May, because she got voted in because of some kind of, I don't know, we didn't vote her in. Do you know what I mean? So she just suddenly she was the prime minister. And she wasn't too bad, but she wasn't great. And eventually she left. But the thing is, though, in England, right, we don't care whether the prime minister is a woman or a man. We really don't care. Do you know what I mean? As long as that person, you know what, right? The difference between American politics and British politics is this, right? The Americans are very passionate about politics and about voting and who goes in, whatever. England is like, okay, so Boris is in. As long as he doesn't mess up our life too much, then we're fine. We can roll with it. But if he does, we'll go out there with our placards and march in London and say we want him out. If he had too much, then, because I think English people realizes that there's not much we can do really if someone corrupt goes into the government. All we can do is pray and hope that he doesn't screw up big time where we all suffer. And so far we are suffering a bit, but not as much for us to kind of stand up with our pitchforks and our lighted torches, if you know what I mean. That's how the British people deal with politics. Well, that's what I think anyway.
Well, and speaking of, I mean, the media and all that, how this week we had the canceling of Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, wow.
And you see, and that's the creepy culture I think I'm more talking about, and that whoever's in charge, and I think we have an oligarchy of people puppeteering going on, and they're one by one taking these people, they're erasing our culture. And it was really creepy because this is a week that all the kids read Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
And then said,
Dr. Seuss's birthday is on the 2nd of March, which is Read Across America Day.
Yeah.
Because of his birthday.
Well, and I probably, it's not the right word probably, but our culture is screwed when they're canceling Dr. Seuss and the number one song on the radio is Cardi B's. I made the mistake of looking up what that word meant.
Oh,
WAP.
Yeah, don't say it.
Like, no. Like, I'm really going to say that. I made the mistake of looking that up. It's like, our country's screwed.
Yeah.
You know what? I reckon you could save your country. I reckon, but you know what? As long as there's people like us around, to actually, talk to people, and spread a bit of love and pray. I think, it stands a good chance of getting better. It's never going to be completely cured, but it can get better if there are people like us still around. Do you know what I mean? And still, I hate fighting. I really do, and I hate arguing. I never argue with anybody anymore because arguing is pointless, because especially today, because nobody wants to listen to the other side. They just want to keep going with what they think. And the problem with today's culture is that they're trying to make what they think a reality. They're trying, no matter how ludicrous it sounds, you know, I'm a binary, blah, 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 blah. But no, you were born either a female or a male. That is a fact. You want to ignore that fact and put your stupid whatever you think into the world, hoping that will be a reality. That's the problem, right? That is
that's what we do.
Thomas Sowell. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, that's kind of what got my homily muted by YouTube. About a month ago, I think it was. I was talking about a former Olympian that's now no longer a male, or at least identifies as a male.
That's horrible.
Dead named him, and I dead named the Juno actress that is no longer. And when I came back from the pulpit, I noticed that my StreamYard mute was on. So I'm thinking that was a fluke. And I decided to stream the Mass the next day, gave the same homily. And this was going after Biden's 2 executive orders on reversing the Mexico City policy, which now government funds will be funding abortion throughout the world, and his allowing transgendered people to compete in women's sports. Well, I talked about that again on the next day, and my audio was muted again.
Wow.
Well, see, and that's part of the scary thing is that there are good people like us in the world, but they're shutting off our voices, our ability to communicate with each other.
But long as there's community.
Have to worry about ticking people off, though. I mean, my parish, I don't think there was a single Biden voter in my parish. I have 3 small parishes, so I mean, it's like 40, 25, and 20 families between the 3 of them. So I'm in very deep red part of the country.
Wow, I did not know that. I can't believe that YouTube will censor you that way.
I don't want to try it again. I mean,
it's crazy.
I don't see. The problem is my eyes are shot. So there was some message on the top of StreamYard, and I didn't look at it because that's the last thing I want to do from the pulp or the altar while I'm saying Mass is try to read what the computer's saying.
Yeah.
Well, and I had mentioned this, I think, on our last one, that the effect that this kind of censorship has is that I am currently in a situation where I can't really get myself physically to Mass for reasons. And that I listen to Father's homilies and his Mass, you know, for my Sunday obligation. And so help me, because they cut him off, they cut me off from Mass. And that was very scary, if you will. Because it's like, I'm just trying to have a devotion here. You guys have had it. We can't go to Mass, and maybe concerned that I'm going to kill everyone that's old in my parish if I go because of the job that I do. And then you cut me off. It was the equivalent of me trying to go into the doors of my parish and having somebody above them, some government agent or some tech overlord, lock the doors. That was scary.
It's going to get worse.
Yeah, we talk about that pretty much every Wednesday, that it's going to get worse.
It's going to get worse.
We've been saying that for a while, trying to let people know that it's going to get worse.
Yeah. And what they've done with the Dr. Seuss thing, because across the people in my world, schools they have things like where kids during this week have Dr. Seuss hat day, Dr. Seuss whatever day. And by canceling it, first of all, it made the celebrations awkward, but also it just was a reminder that why Dr. Seuss and why not Cardi, whatever. It's like, oh, the kids at the schools. You got to start censoring and controlling what's happening at the schools with the very little children. That's how you get control of a society.
Well, that's how you convince a society to believe in what you're trying to put out there.
Yeah.
Propaganda and brainwashing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, it's a shame really, because it seems like they're winning. These people actually put stuff out there, and it doesn't seem like there's anyone champion our side. That's what it feels like to me. I don't know about you guys, but that's what it feels like to me. It really does.
Yeah. And that's, I think, why I was only half joking about becoming a hermit.
well, half joking. You should become a hermit, otherwise we won't have talks like this.
Well, exactly. Well, like I said, a metaphorical hermit.
Seth of Berenstein Bears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got, what is that? I've got my, I don't know if you can see it there. I have this on my wall. Can you see it behind me?
Yes.
Right
Oh, Divine
there.
Mercy.
Yeah, I always have that on my wall. What happened was, I could tell you this really creepy story. What happened when my dad was alive? Because in fact, I used to live elsewhere, but I came home because my dad died. And my mum couldn't pay the mortgage, so I came here and I live with my mum now, so I'm helping her pay the mortgage. So it seemed to make sense. Why pay rent on another place when you can come home and help your mum? But anyway, coming back to the creepy story, what happened was that this room, I was in this room and my tape deck kept opening and turning on in the middle of the night. So I told Dad, I said, Dad, there's something in my room keeps opening my tape deck. And my dad said, because my dad used to work with the church and he was a minister. So my dad said, don't worry about that. And he came downstairs with a bottle of holy water. This is a true story. And he started spraying it all over my room. And I said, what are you doing? And he's like, don't worry, this will take care of it. It'll take care of it. And then he put that picture up. And it's been up ever since. My dad's been dead for 12 years. And you know what? I've never had any problems in this room ever again. Because there used to be noises and crap. And I really don't know what was going on. But my dad seemed to know what was going on. And yeah, he cured it for me. And look, and another story. I'll just briefly tell you about the story when my dad was dying. My dad died of cancer, okay? And the doctor told me, because I got a huge family, the doctor told us that he only had 1 hour to live, right? Because they pumped up with loads of drugs. And so my dad, out of all my family, which is a huge family, picked me. And he said, please get a priest because I want my last rites. So okay, so I went downstairs and I went to the chapel because the hospital had a chapel, and went to the priest and I said, look, my dad needs last rites. He's only going to last an hour. Can you come and see him? And the priest said, no, I can't do it. I've got 6 other people. And I said, oh. So I went up to my dad and I said, Dad, he can't do it. He said he'd be probably 3 hours late. You know what my dad said to me? My dad said, I'll wait. And he did. 3 hours later, the priest came, gave him his last blessings. 5 minutes later, he was gone. So what is that? Is that faith, or is that strength of literally stopping death because you need that? What is that? And that's fascinating. I find that fascinating personally. Personally, I find it very, very fascinating. Is it faith, though? That's the question. Is it the belief that stopped it from happening because he wanted his last rites?
My thought would be, why? So the priest had 6 other people to see. Were they dying too?
Yeah, they were.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, usually when I get a sick call like that, I drop everything and go right away.
No, because it was a hospital and he was in a cancer ward. There were other cancer wards as well. And he had to, because they asked first, obviously. And so he had to tend to them first before he can come to Dad. So, the other thing I would
say, probably call another priest.
Yeah, he would have done if there were any left, because it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. It was like really late in the morning.
I've done a sick call at 3 in the morning. Yeah. Unfortunately, they waited till the person died to call me.
Yeah.
Well, I have a curious question, Ian. Did your dad, did he have a devotion to Saint Joseph?
I don't know, but he did pray a lot, though. He used to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and pray. I don't know. He was very much into. I mean, I believe in God, but my dad and my mum, right? They come from the old school, of faith, and they believe without a shadow of a doubt. In fact, I remember taking my mum to the National History Museum and showing her the statue of who's the guy that said we came out of the water and turned into Darwin. I showed a statue of Darwin. And I said, yeah, Darwin philosophized that this what happened. My mum was like, no, God created us. Do you know what I mean? She would not have it. She would not have it at all. So this is what we're talking about, the old school way of thinking. My dad and my mum, you can't move them from that, no matter what you say. So I don't know. I just,
Yeah. Well, probably having a large family, if they were traditional Catholics, he probably did have a devotion. And the reason I ask is because of, the happy death, Saint Joseph, intercedes for us at the moment. Yeah.
He might have done. I don't know, because I my dad, but I didn't really know my dad. It's a shame, because I really wanted to know him, but he was very strict, and we ended up, we were quite scared of him when we were young. Do you know what I mean? Because he was you know, comes from Trinidad, and they had a way of raising kids and stuff like that. And you know what I mean? So I was a bit scared of him. And when I got a lot older, I got to like him a bit more and stuff like that. You know what I mean? You can't be king forever. That was his favorite saying. You can't be king forever, because he was this powerful man when you were a kid. And then when he got to Trinidad has this old saying, what is it? You're once a man and twice a child. Once a man, twice a child. You know what that means, don't you? Guys, you know what that means?
Man and twice a child?
Once a man, twice a child. Yeah, so in other words, you're born a child, you become a man, then when you're dying, you become a child again. People have to look after you. Do you know what I mean? When you're getting old and frail and stuff like that. So he always used to say that to us, you can't be king forever. So yeah, that's the thing. But anyway, I don't want to bring this down. I don't want to bring it down.
You mentioned Darwin, and that reminded me, this is Monsignor George Lemaitre. Right. He was a scientist, Belgian scientist, that came up with the theory of the Big Bang.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, the thing I never really understood until probably went to the seminary was understanding creation and how God, you know, was it 7 days or was it 7 billion years?
Yeah.
And Cardinal Ratzinger, when he was still cardinal, had a series of lectures that were printed called In the Beginning, and it really changed my understanding of Genesis. I mean, basically saying that Genesis is not meant to be read as a literal history scientific textbook.
Yeah.
But,
no, I totally understand that. I mean, guys, I totally understand it.
But no, that was the thing that was fun yesterday. I was telling Ian that Rabbi and I started a weekly stream, and it was fun. Just his ears perked up when I mentioned exorcisms.
Yeah. When I was on there with him, he had an interest in that as well too.
And thankfully, John, he didn't bring up the trading cards.
Oh, he didn't? I'm surprised.
No, thankfully. It's like, I don't want to be seen on camera with that. Especially in my clerics, I don't want to be seen looking at Perry or
ends up on Facebook.
I'm really surprised how many priests have a YouTube channel and how many, you know, actually get out there and do a show. You know, I'm really surprised. You know, in fact, I was surprised when the first time I heard of you, Father, was Gary mentioned you in one of his streams, and I was like, nah, it's got to be a nickname, Father Miller's got to be, you know. And then I found out you were a real priest. I was like, what the hell? So
I remember the first time I talked to Rabbi was on a super chat. It's like, okay, we got a priest, we got a rabbi, and now we need a minister.
Yeah.
And then you have to go into a bar.
Yeah.
Oh, I will. He will too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
No, I just thought it was just, you know, I just found one, as I was saying to Father. What are they called? The Friars?
Yeah. Upon Friar Review.
Yeah.
Upon Friar Review. And they're quite good, actually. They're too slick.
Title.
Yeah, they're really slick though, those two. And I can't believe that they gotta have a lot of. The thing I want to know is how can they get around the YouTube copyright? That's right.
By showing as much content as they do.
Yeah. I don't know either.
There are little tricks you can do. I know I've talked to a few other people. It depends sometimes on who you are actually using. Oh gosh.
No, I will not do that.
My friends never want me to watch exorcism movies with them because I sit there and I judge it.
I watched it once back in the 90s. It was the first and only time I saw it. I actually liked it, but that stuff is real.
Yeah, you heard the stories, right? About the ecstasy, about
things that happened on the filming.
Yeah, the guy went to have was it the guy who played Father Carras? He went to he just came out of the studio and went to have a breakfast, and this priest came up to him. Do you hear that story? And sat opposite him, and he said, I'm warning you, what you're doing in that film is really going to be angering the devil. And he took off this chain and he gave it to him, and he said, this will protect you. And that's meant to be a true story. That's crazy, right? He just came out the studio just to have breakfast, and his priest was in there, knew what they were doing for some unknown reason, came and sat next to him and gave him a medal. That's on the making of, by the way. If you watch it, that's on the making of. That's crazy. Absolutely
the one
crazy.
that I want to see. Let me see if I can bring this up.
Yeah, there's also a good documentary on the exorcism on which it was based upon, and the priest who was assisting in it was giving his testimony on what he saw, and that's the only part of The Exorcist that I truly have a real issue with. Is they would never have had that the priest that they had do the assist at the exorcism, because a man that was doubting his faith, they would never allow him to participate in an exorcism.
Yeah, but it's a movie though. They have to have certain things, don't they? That make it kind of a movie.
Oh, Alec Guinness!
Alec Guinness.
Well, you know, this is the movie that made him a Catholic.
Yep.
And I've been wanting to watch this one for a while now.
Is that Father Brown? Does he play Father Brown? He does, yeah. Was that the first version of Father Brown?
I think so.
Yes. All right.
I'm enjoying the new one. Mark Williams, I think is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rory's dad, Rory's dad.
Yeah.
He's brilliant. I mean, it's a brilliant show.
Yeah. My only issue, to be the little pain in the butt here, is it's not based on his story. So, and the ones that are, they kind of twisted it up a little bit, and I wasn't very happy. Have you actually read the real ones, Father?
I have them on audiobook.
Yeah, because they are. There's one a compilation that Ignatius Press did called Father Brown in the Church of Rome, and those are masterpieces of detective fiction and theology as well.
Yeah, but I mean, you have it's not faithful to the book, but I mean, it's a positive portrayal of a priest.
That's true.
I mean, the stories. I actually enjoy the stories. Okay, maybe I don't like the housekeeper, but
those are the
she's
parts
a little
that I'm
pain
just
in the
like.
butt.
Well, and some of the sexy stuff in there, it's just. I mean, I'm not a prude, but it's just come on.
Right.
Chesterton wasn't about that, but I agree. That's a good point, Father. But it's so rare that we see a positive depiction of a priest. That
I don't know.
Father Ted.
Yeah,
Oh,
no way.
I started watching that again the other night.
That's great. But you know what? The priests
now.
the priests in my congregation, they hate Father Ted. I was like, it's funny, and they're like, no, it's not. It's not.
They mustn't have enough Irish in their background.
I don't know.
Daredevil has a pretty good
yes, they do. Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
But that was in the comics as well, wasn't it? He had a priest that he went to. That was in the comics as well. But yeah, I mean, there've been some. You know, my favorite film when you're talking about God, right? And this may be, you know, you may laugh at this. My favorite film I find very funny in places and very heartwarming is Oh God. Have you seen Oh God with George Burns?
Yeah.
I find it doesn't really take the pee. And it really tries to find the middle, because they know that this film was going to go out to the whole world, so they couldn't really put, you know, religion in a box. So they had to literally try and make it more adaptable for a lot more people, and they did it very subtly. You know what I mean? And I really, you know, that film has a place in my heart. And then it was Bruce Almighty, which was kind of a bit silly, but they copied Oh God though. If you've seen Oh God, then you know Bruce Almighty. They copied beats from Oh God, and they put it in Bruce Almighty, but they added Jim Carrey to it. So, but I like Oh God. If you ever get the chance to see it again, you should watch it, because it's a lot of fun.
Avoid the third one. I hated the third one.
Yeah, I don't watch it. The second and the third one. No.
The second was it was okay.
Nah.
But you know, the movie I mentioned to the rabbi yesterday, he was asking me about religious films, and he did bring up Pulp Fiction again.
Pulp Fiction's not a religious film.
According to him, it is.
No, it's not.
What?
Well, the fact that Samuel L. Jackson witnesses a miracle.
Yeah, but that was a joke.
I know, but he mentioned it. But no, Hitchcock's I Confess. I know I've probably mentioned it on here before. Yeah. Great movie.
It is. It's a great movie. And also he had trouble with the main actor, didn't he, at the end, because he wanted the main actor to look up, didn't he? But the main actor didn't want to look up, and in the end he did look up, because the last shot at the ending when he comes out of the church and he looks up, and the guy kept saying, what am I looking up to? And Hitchcock kept saying, just do it. And it's like, why should I do it? And they had a huge argument on the set. So there you go.
Gotta show you. I got another Hitchcock thing. Let me get the picture. Hold on.
Yeah, Hitchcock had a lot of really cool stuff. I actually have to, I confess, Father, because I have never actually seen I Confess. I know about it intellectually and its role, and I'm feeling like I probably should watch it. Like, just sit and watch the whole.
Wow. Seriously, that's her signature?
Yeah, I wrote her.
Wow.
So what I've been doing, I've been getting into this kick. I've been buying pictures and then sending them with like a self-addressed return postage and everything. And that took about a week to get.
Wow.
Wow. Padre. Nice.
I love Eva Marie.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Well, there's tons of really good.
I mean, I gotta admit, I did like The Exorcist. My dad took me to see it when I was 12. Would you believe?
Oh my god!
Oh,
My dad
Maybe
knew
he
the guy
wanted
at
to
the
scare
cinema.
the daylights out of it. Like, this is what's
did.
gonna happen, son, if
Yeah,
you don't
it
behave
did.
yourself.
tell you, there was in the 90s, 80s or 90s, Leslie Nielsen did a parody of it.
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
And
it was funny.
it had Linda Blair in it too.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
What was it
Yeah, yeah.
called?
I don't remember.
Well,
I can't
Yeah.
remember either, but it was fun though. I've seen all those kind of silly movies and stuff. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, they showed because I went to a school called Sacred Heart, and it was linked with a church called the Sacred Heart, and they showed on 16mm the St. John Bosco, because St. John Bosco is one of the patron saints of the school, and they showed 16mm. I remember watching that as a kid, and they didn't have video at that time; it was just 16mm camera.
wow.
So yeah, it's
Oh,
quite,
kitty.
that was quite cool. Ah,
Speaking of
I named her
demons.
Bosco.
Oh. Well, you know, another good one is The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
yeah, it was okay. Yeah.
Oh, you
I
don't
kinda
like it,
liked it.
Father?
I don't watch any movies with exorcisms.
Oh.
All right. Okay.
I
Okay.
remember, and I shouldn't admit it, I probably mentioned it before, but I was with a group of priests. We were doing a getaway, and they were going to watch, I think, that movie. I enjoyed a few extra drinks so it would put me to sleep so I didn't have to watch it.
Oh.
Well, let me ask you, why didn't you want to watch it?
Anything with demons, I don't want to
I
deal
see.
with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that stuff is real, and
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things we learned in the seminary, that type of stuff could possibly open you up to possession if
Yes.
you're not careful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, what made The Exorcism of Emily Rose unique was there was even a question about whether it was a possession or whether she was crazy, and it was a trial after she had passed away. And it was about an agnostic kind of coming to faith through that process. But I understand. So it's not sensational. For example, the way that the other one, the Exorcist rather, was. But Father, what you said reminds me that I knew an exorcist from the former diocese I was from, and he would say explicitly, it's like, that's one way to disqualify yourself from being an exorcist. Though he wasn't saying it in the terms of you, he said that he doesn't watch exorcism movies because of his imagination. He said that we have to remain completely logical and impartial, and that I guess one of the qualifications of an exorcist is, for lack of a better word, that they're boring.
Yeah, I would say, honestly, I know the exorcist for our diocese, and God love him, but yeah.
Because they have to
he's
be
not
that way.
I'm not saying it to be bad, but he's not the type that I would just view like you want to hang out with.
Yeah, and that's because that's part of the qualities that they need. I actually went to a convention in Ireland. Father, you need to do this. Let's do this. Let's meet in Cork City when all this is over. It's called FODA, and it always has Cardinal Burke leading it. And the last one I went to, I always go every year.
Bill from the TARDIS zone to join. That'd be interesting.
My brother lives in
I
Ireland.
mention that is he's Ireland.
Yeah,
Oh,
my brother
yeah.
lives in Ireland, so he can join
Well,
you as
there
well.
we go. Yeah, and just hop on over. No, but for reals. And every year they really really get deep into a theological question. And one of them was, it was about the rite of exorcism. And so there was tons of exorcists in there, and they were pretty boring. But holy crud, one Brit guy got up and just did the driest joke that had us rolling. and so I'm like, okay, you know, this, but it was loads of fun, and I still have all my notes. But it was.
Well, we had a priest study day, so one of the things we're supposed to do as priests is to continue our education, and to help that, the diocese puts on workshops maybe 3-4 times a year. One of them was led by, it was basically dealing with spiritual warfare and exorcisms and all the stuff that goes along with that. And that actually was an interesting workshop.
You know what?
I'd be interested to take that one.
Do you know what? I hate the way they portray priests sometimes on film. You know, like, I don't know if you remember War of the Worlds. I mean, how stupid could that priest be to go out there with the cross against a Martian? I mean, would you do that? I wouldn't do. Would you do that? Do you know what I mean? It's just, you know, you could believe in God, right? But common sense tells you to look left and right when you're crossing the road. Do you know what I mean? You don't believe everything in the faith of God. You know, there's common sense to be had. And that you know, in that film, he just went out there, didn't he? It was like, well, in the American version, I guess, and in the novel as well, I think. But sometimes I think they treat priests really badly in movies, how that they're all faith but no common sense, if you know what I mean. I mean, do you guys agree? Have you ever seen something that...
I'm looking for the clip. There's so my hatred of Disney goes back to 97.
Oh, I know what you're going to talk about too, Father.
Yeah, I got the clip here. Let's see.
Yeah, priests are either stupid, or evil, or hypocrites, and so when you get like a normal one,
is this Hunchback?
No.
Oh, Hunchback.
No, it was a show called Nothing Sacred.
Yes, that show was despicable.
Let's see.
Careful.
Is the audio playing?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Gosh, this is gonna hurt.
As of today, I'm declaring a moratorium on sins of the flesh in St. Thomas Parish. You see this little book? This is the gospel. If it was written today, it wouldn't get published. Not enough sex. And all the stuff that we've reduced religion to. Contraception, homosexuality, promiscuity, abortion. They aren't in here. Oh, it may be a mention. But they're not what the book is about. And I was not ordained to be a sexual traffic cop. It's what I'm turning into most of the time. So, until further notice, I will not hear any more sexual sins in the confessional. For sex, go to St. Patrick's or St. Lucy's.
I'll tell you, if a priest said that, I would go up and yank him right from the altar and smack him.
But I remember the Catholic League led a boycott of Disney and ABC, and they were very successful because the only commercials we're airing was like Time Life's John Denver collection.
Was nothing wrong with John Denver.
No, nothing wrong with John Denver, but you don't see that type of stuff on prime time.
You don't. No, you don't. No, you're absolutely right. As I said, I don't like the way priests are portrayed in movies and in TV shows, because they're always portrayed either that they're against what they believe or that they have so much faith that they're stupid and they don't use logic when they're going through the problem. And I think that's horrible, you know, because there are a lot of really great priests out there, and I know loads of them. So you know, and I don't understand why they portray them like that on screen.
It's not just priests; it's all religious people. I would say, like nuns as well.
Yeah. Well, and in Protestants, it's very similar too. They're always showing, you know, they usually tend with the hypocrite stuff, kind of like the Jimmy Swaggart types. And part of it is this is part of that whole undermining of the culture, in that you get the generals, you get the troops. And I swear, I remember in the 90s and stuff, before we had the internet, which really helped us with communicate, people would say, well, what about this in your church? What about that? And I would go, that was a TV show. And people, but people would assume that if it's on TV, that it's true or based on truth. And I think, sadly, they've been very successful because when you look at the generation, the faith in all symbols of authority, policemen, even firemen, clergy, all of that, teachers. Well, except certain teachers are okay, I guess, but some aren't. People are raised to hate the very people that used to be lauded, and that's why it drives me so crazy when there is a bad cop or there is a bad priest, the ones that make the news, because I'm like, great, just great. They're going to use this, and they do.
But that's not only in the church. They any organization that there's something bad, they always use it against them. That's nothing new there. But I think the problem is the way that religion is portrayed in movies, and I think a lot of people that watch movies, they get influenced by movies, and this is the danger. If more films come out saying that religion is hopeless or not very good, then people are going to start believing that's going to sink into their psyche. And this is what whatever organization is in charge of this world now, because it's obvious the prime minister is not, and the president is not. Whoever's moving this world this way, it's obvious that's what they want to do. They want to destroy community. They want to destroy your faith. They want to destroy pop culture, which we love, of course. Mm-hmm. And they want to destroy our way of thinking. And they want to put what they dream of into the world, even if it's not true. And
I don't know. Who could it be? Who could it be that wants this? Could it be Satan?
I have no idea.
With the church lady?
Say that again?
Sorry?
Ian, are you familiar with the church lady from Saturday Night Live?
No, because we don't get Saturday Night Live.
That's why it was just when Miss Barnes
that's what I was saying.
I didn't know if you knew.
All right.
Because when you're saying it's like there's something that's wanting. Yeah, you're like something that's trying to undermine, something that's trying to destroy everything that's good.
Well,
the one thing about that, though, I will say is that it's crap. Like, just look at what our story from yesterday about the Star Wars: The High Republic. They've literally introduced a character that is a rock, and he can only speak. You can only pronounce his name if you don't have a mouth.
How stupid is that?
Yeah. So they're destroying themselves, which is what ends up happening, I think, as well.
I don't know. These things are getting supported by funding. Where is the funding coming from? That's what I want to know. It's got to be some kind of organization that's literally supporting them, because you can't tell me that Batwoman gets no one watching it and suddenly it's got like a third season. That's money. We're talking about money there.
Yeah, so with Batwoman, we've been covering the ratings for that every single Monday or Tuesday. We usually have a story on that. I think now it's down, it's in the mid 400s, which is that's usually around where they'll cancel those CW shows if it gets down to there. But I think with the pandemic, they might have just renewed it because they don't want to put in sunk costs to new shows. And then just keep it along, and then it'll go down. But at the same time, I think you're right. I think that it's purely to push propaganda as well. And so my idea is that there's the people who like the financiers, they're able to just sell whatever is sucking to their competitor or their competitor. And then they'll buy it. They'll get a little bit of it, and then they'll keep pushing it, and then they'll sell something else, and it's all being moved around that way. And then I know some people are even saying that I forget what I just blanked on it now, but they're saying that they use it to just launder money or something like that. There's a theory about that.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure if that's actually true or not.
Well,
is this the church lady?
This is the church lady.
All right. Oh.
Let's see. And who could it have been? Let's see, I don't know. Let me think. Let me knock on Mr. Noggin. Who could trick us into doing that? Could have been Satan.
Yeah. So is that her catchphrase then?
Yeah. Like, who could it be? Who could it be? Satan? Right. So whenever she says something that happens, and she says, Satan behind it.
But I mean, that's when Saturday Night Live was still fun. Now it's just hate.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, talking about Satan, did you guys like the Omen series?
Never
The
saw
Omen
it.
series? You never saw it?
I've never
No?
seen it.
Nope.
The first one
It was great. I thought the first one was great.
scared the living crumblugna out of me. Though technically it's not exactly the way the Book of Revelation is supposed to unravel, but it was masterful. Father, it was one of those scary movies that didn't really have a lot of explicit violence at all. It was just the whole atmosphere.
Now, I will say I did love Good Omens. I mean, and I actually was talking to our exorcist about it. I mean, the main thing is, the main complaint I would have is, the Archangel Michael using profanity. That's, no. That part, no.
No.
I mean, the idea that a good angel and a bad angel are working together, I mean, but Tenet and, what's his name? Oh,
Sheen.
Michael Sheen.
Michael Sheen, yeah.
They were great together.
Yeah. But, as I said, it's really strange how people look at things like that today, especially with today's way of thinking. It's really strange. But I don't know. I have no answers. No answers at all.
I have a question for Father Miller. Do you so since you don't watch movies with exorcisms, do you read Constantine or Hellblazer? No. Okay.
No. It's great. It really is. It's over the top nonsense. It really is.
Well, I think, as I probably told you, John, I canceled my DC Infinite subscription because I want Superman. I want the gold or the silver and bronze age Superman. And it's more the modern.
Yeah.
I mean, they have like the first 100 episodes of the original from the 30s, but I want the corn. I want the camp. And the thing that I've been enjoying about Superman and Lois is bringing Morgan Edge in. Because I first discovered him in the 70s.
Yeah.
The 70s issues, I mean.
When they Superman had him was a presenter, right?
Yeah.
Superman was a TV presenter. Sorry.
Yeah, no. That was the fun of it. I mean, it was just so corny. Clark Kent is working for the Daily Planet, and he's now the head reporter of the Evening News.
They had him in Supergirl for a little bit, I think. But it was played by...
I stopped watching that after the first season.
Yeah, he was played by Adrian Pastar, I think. He was super bit role. But speaking of Superman and Lois, I was actually looking at the ratings for this too. They dropped 30% in viewership.
Really?
But I think that's because they scaled up the first episode to 1.7, I think. I have to go back and look at our first coverage. But yeah, it dropped to 1.2.
I just hope they don't screw it up. I mean, the first two episodes
It's
have been
CW.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, the first two episodes are okay. They were okay. I mean, I think people are tired of superheroes. I just finished watching, what is it, WandaVision?
WandaVision.
Oh.
And I was like, it was okay. It didn't blow my socks off, I said, gone are the days when, great shows like Dexter and House and, and Psych and all those great freaking shows were terrific. Absolutely terrific. You couldn't miss an episode. Those days are gone. Now,
my guilty pleasure is Burn Notice.
I love Burn Notice. Burn Notice is one of my favorite shows.
Love it.
Yeah, Burn Notice is good.
I actually got to see Bruce Campbell speak.
Oh, really?
Before. So, one of my parishes I was assigned to, there was a local college that he came to give a talk on fear. And it's because of that talk I discovered Army of Darkness and Evil Dead 2. I can't watch the first Evil Dead. It just
freaks you out.
Yeah, but the second one was perfect. I mean, the camp and the horror and everything. Yeah.
It's I mean, I didn't like the way Burnt Nose ended personally, but it was a show that I used to watch every week.
I will say this is going to probably go back to the 90s. Are you familiar with Jack of All Trades?
No.
It was one of
Is that American show?
Yeah.
Oh.
Let me see if I can find it.
I do like Bruce Campbell. He seems like a nice guy.
I was going to... He was having this thing where you could get an autograph, but after seeing what his autograph looks like, you can't even tell it's who it is.
Yeah. Well.
Let me see. Let's see. Okay, almost got it. Oh, darn it. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Let me see. Okay, let me bring up the share screen. This is only like a 30-second clip, so it shouldn't get... Okay. So this is from the 90s.
Right.
Because I remember this was one of those that was on like at the same time as Xena and Hercules.
Oh yes.
It was like a show that was on late night.
That was a catchy song.
Yeah, it was catchy.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I mean, it's the funny thing is, it also has Vern Mini-Me in it. He actually plays Napoleon. He plays Napoleon.
We said he was short.
Yeah. So.
But you know, what is it? You know,
Yeah, there it is.
I've never seen this show at all. And so yeah, it's something to look out, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know if it's in Region 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you know, going back to British shows, there's a lot of the British shows I want to get, but they don't have it available in America.
Which one?
Ashes, I can't. I want to see Ashes.
Ashes. You
Ashes
don't want to
to
bother with that. Ashes is terrible.
What
Terrible.
the? Okay, I'm going to talk to you later where I don't have to worry about my language, sir.
Oh dear.
I love Ashes to Ashes.
Well, I mean, it's set in the 80s, I guess. You know, that's what's going for it. But it's just a bit of a rip-off of the first, you know, the first version of that show. It's just.
But I mean, like Toast of London, another Matt Berry show that I love.
Oh, that was okay. I didn't really like that one at all, but it was all right.
But I mean, there's CI5, I think, is the one that
Professionals.
I discovered. Yeah, I like to watch that, but it's not available on BritBox here.
It's really violent, though.
I don't care.
So, and you know, it's kind of Britain's answer to Starsky and Hutch at one point. Then it became its own thing. So, you know, it's a really good show. Really, really good with the characters and stuff like that, I thought. But you know,
well, I've seen the reboot that they did, I think, in the 90s.
Don't bother.
I only watched one episode. The reason I'm mentioning it, John, is it has the guy that played the Equalizer.
Yeah.
The original Equalizer.
Edward Woodward. Oh. Yeah, Edward Woodward. Yeah.
I haven't seen Queen Latifah yet.
Oh, no. I saw one episode. That was enough for me. It was so bad, I almost cried with laughter. It was absolutely
I'll tell
hilarious.
you what was bad. Leslie Jones in Coming to America 2.
Oh, God, I saw that yesterday. I was so unimpressed by it. I didn't laugh once. And it wasn't a bad movie.
The Barbershop guys. I like the Barbershop guys.
Yeah, but they should be dead. It took about 30 years ago.
I know. Yeah, but still.
It was all right. It just wasn't, you know, it missed the John Landis humor. It missed the whole aspect of them being in America because they spend most of the time in Wakanda, wherever it is. No, that's the other thing, isn't it? That's
it's going for it though. It's going for that though. And I mean, it was somewhat woke because it's focusing on the daughters.
Yes. And also,
I heard I heard the whole like what happens to him is pretty horrible. Like he gets drugged or whatever.
Yeah.
But you know,
that's how. That's how they explain how he had a son.
Yeah. But that's all stupid. I mean, you know, the one thing I really hated about it is that they destroyed Eddie Murphy's character. You know, the Prince Kasim's character, because when you see the original film, he was brave, he was resourceful. You know, he followed his mind. He found his wife in Queens, brought him. You know what I mean? And in this version, we found out that he cheated when he tried to get the, you know, what is it, the whiskers from the lion and stuff like that. And his character was all soft and became his dad and stuff. I'm like, no, you're doing the same thing you did with Luke Skywalker, you know. But they didn't do it as bad though, obviously. But it was just they just kind of basically made him a bit of a weak character. And you know,
at least it was PG-13. I mean, probably
this
part
one's
of it is
PG.
because it's PG-13.
Yeah.
Which would explain Morgan Freeman's F-bomb being bleeped.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I wasn't impressed.
Nor was I. And you know what? As I said, it was okay. But you know, when you're talking about when they were saying we're going to make Coming to America 2, and I thought, great, Eddie Murphy and Cecilia Hall back, but they were like pushed to the side, weren't they, for these new characters? And I was like, well, it's like having a sequel like Star Wars and not seeing the 3 in it. Oh wait, they've done that.
That's what Hollywood does, though. I mean, look at Terminator. Look at that's what they try and do. They try and do these like soft. They call them soft reboots now, where they're like, let's bring back the old cast and then try and introduce the young people. They kind of tried to do that with Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. Never went anywhere. But yeah, I mean that's Hollywood's MO. Even though movies seem to fail every single time.
So are they actually going through with the 5th Indiana Jones?
I hope not.
They have a new director with James Mangold, I think, is doing it, who's the Logan guy, but that movie's been delayed for like a decade now.
But you know
Spielberg
what?
dropped off.
I don't understand why someone like Steven Spielberg doesn't stand up to this, because he has nothing to lose. He's a billionaire. You know, if they say we're not going to make your films again, all he could do is just spend his own money, make his own films. You know what I mean? And talk to distributors, and he'll get distributors to distribute his film. I don't understand why he's not standing up and saying something. The most powerful directors in Hollywood. The only thing I can come to the conclusion is that Kathleen Kennedy has something in all of them. That's the only conclusion I can come to. If I was Spielberg and I didn't disagree with the way Hollywood was going, I have nothing to lose. I'll get on a platform, get the press there, and say what I have to say, because they cannot take someone like Spielberg down, right? They can't.
Oh, they could.
No, they can't, unless they have something on him.
Yeah. I think that the lack
on all of them.
I think a lot of these people they just lack courage. I mean, George Lucas, perfect example. He actually did call out Disney, called them white slavers, and then he had to issue on 60 Minutes, and then he had to go back and like walk it back.
Why?
But because I think he got talked to.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They have something on them.
Right? Maybe. I think they don't want to rock the boat, and I think they're just afraid.
Yeah.
What's George Lucas afraid of? The man is at a certain age in his life. He's a billionaire like 5 times over. What is he afraid of?
I think he's afraid of. He just doesn't want to rock the boat.
Why don't you want to rock the boat if you care about Hollywood and care about making movies?
I think he doesn't care anymore, but also consider the fact that a lot of these people, they do have children, they have families, and I think that they're nearing the end of their lives. They want to make sure that their children get their inheritance.
No. Nothing can stop him from doing what he's doing. He's on the set of Mandalorian almost, he's been on a set like more than 10 times. He does care about his product, definitely care about it. But what is stopping him from speaking out? He's a billionaire 10 times over. He can have protection over his kids, right? He can do things. Why isn't he doing something? That's the question. The only conclusion is they have something on them that's damning. It's the only conclusion I can come to.
South Park did a good take on it. Basically, go ahead.
Oh, I was just looking at what Spencer's saying in the chat. He says that they have clauses. Well, we know that they don't because Bob Iger admitted that in the memoir that he tried to get George Lucas to sign it, and George was like, no.
Yeah. And Spielberg has nothing to do with Disney at all. He could speak out anytime he wants. The same thing with Martin Scorsese. I guess he's with Netflix, isn't he now? So they can speak out anytime they want, but they don't.
Scorsese kind of speaks out against it, but it's like in riddles.
Yeah.
Well, but Indiana Jones is owned by them, Ian.
Yeah, I know, but Steven Spielberg does. It's not his property. It was never his property.
No, but what I'm trying to say is, if he wants to still be able to do the next Indiana Jones,
he doesn't, because he bailed, didn't he? He's obviously bailed because of what's happening, and now they've got this other director attached to it. So the question still remains: how comes they're not speaking out? Don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I did a whole video about Bill Burr, and I thought what he did was extremely cowardly, and I called him out for it. And I think, to me, when I see stuff like that, I think it's really about fear. I mean, we don't even see people like you don't see people like Mel Gibson or even like Vince Vaughn or Bruce Willis like speaking out about that stuff. Like even he went and like Bruce Willis like didn't wear his mask and people were calling him out. And then he had to issue some like weak apology. So I do think there's just a lot of fear there, and I think a lot of these people have egos and they want to like keep this idea that they think people have of them alive too. I think there's risk of losing the reputation or something like that as well. But I'm not going to rule out that there's not dirt on these people.
I reckon there is.
Yeah.
But Bill Burr, you can understand, right? Because he has a family and he's pretty low. He's not a billionaire. He needs that job. I can understand. Understand it.
He needs the Mandalorian. I don't know.
I think so, because otherwise, if he didn't, he would have spoken out. And do you know what? That guy is not short of not speaking out. So they must have something on him, or he needs that job. Who knows? I don't know.
I don't know. He's a stand-up comedian by trade, so he had 2 roles in 2 seasons. Like he was on like what 2, I think.
Yeah. So I'm telling you, there's something wrong somewhere. Something wrong somewhere. I'm telling you, they must have dirt on them. They must do, because as I said, there's nothing stopping them from speaking out. None of them. Let's face it.
Yeah, I mean, the only one who's really said anything is Gina.
Yeah.
About what's going on within Disney. No
she was
one else
cryptic too, wasn't she? She was cryptic too.
I mean, she definitely called it out. She definitely said there's like she was pretty. I mean, she went pretty. They tried to like put her on that like 40-person Zoom like shame chat. So she did like reveal like some specific details. The only thing she didn't do is that she did say like I could change the narrative in the media, but I don't want to like out my friend. And that was the only thing. And which that's just like maddening for me personally.
Sorry, I don't understand the statement. Out her friend?
Yeah, she would have to like tell like that person who might not want that story told. She would have to break the trust because that person had told her something, and then she would expose that story that person might not want exposed to the public.
And why
it was not her story to tell.
Oh, I see.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So she just doesn't want to break the trust that she has with that person. I assume that's a friend, and that's maddening to me because it's like don't even bring that up because now like what is it?
Now, exactly. Now you want to know. But
maybe she's being a little bit more clever than we're giving her credit for, if you will. That's also her way of saying I know things about you all, so maybe back off of me. I mean, Gina's not an idiot. She's not stupid. No. And she's like, oh, yeah, there's somebody. And I'm sure she did it in good faith, but why bring it up at all?
Yeah.
It's like, don't destroy me with lies when I can destroy you with the truth. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah, I guess. As I said, I'm still puzzled why people haven't spoken.
I just look at Harvey Weinstein.
Well, he was guilty.
But
I understand why.
No one spoke up about it. No one spoke up about him for decades
because they were guilty. They knew what was going on, and they didn't stop it. So they were guilty. But as I said, someone like Spielberg, who is powerful, George Lucas, who was powerful, why aren't they speaking up? Why isn't George going, I'm going to make a press conference, I'm going to say Disney destroyed my Star Wars, I that's why I didn't turn up to any of the premieres. Why doesn't he come up and say that? The only conclusion is that they've got dirt on all of them, especially Kathleen Kennedy. Worked with George, worked with Stephen, worked with almost every famous director going. She must have something on them.
I don't discount that because we just did Not My Star Wars had a great video of Bob Chapek's like interview with the Morgan Stanley. He was like their keynote speaker. We covered that. I think it's Friday. I think it was Thursday. We covered that. But he was lavishing praise on Kathleen Kennedy, and the question wasn't even about her. The question was about Marvel and Kevin Feige, and he brought in Star Wars to answer that, to lavish the praise on her. And so I do think there's something there, and I think one of the guys who follows us, he actually like described the video as like a hostage video.
Yeah,
he thought it looked like a hostage video. The interview with Chapek.
I mean, I purposely don't get involved in that stuff. I mean, I've been asked on different streams to talk about it. I'm no expert on it, but I try to avoid it because I think it's a war that whoever's involved needs to solve, needs to actually, you know, step up. And if they're not stepping up, then, you know, what can you do? You know, if you want this kind of organization, you want this kind of thinking to take over the world, then, you know, I'm not in any power to stop it. I'm a voice, drop in the ocean. But people that are powerful than me, they can do something. They can literally do something, and they're not.
They can only do it, Ian, if they want to. That's the other thing. I think that sometimes we as fans assume and place upon these people our own beliefs. Like, how could they not? How could they not? Well, you know what? Maybe they don't.
Maybe they believe in it.
They do believe in it, and they want to. And the reason why you have someone like Gina is, well, she's one of those that didn't believe in it.
Yeah,
but.
Yeah, I also will disagree with you about you not like your reasoning for not covering it, because we do cover it at Bounty Gun Comics, and we do that exclusively. And I think that we are making an impact. Maybe not just us specifically, but but you're seeing it trickle out to other people. Like the Fandom Menace is talking about it. People are starting to hear about it that might not be paying attention to a lot of this stuff. That new poll that came out, published in the Daily Wire, and I do want to make, like, that is the company that Gina is working for. But there was a new poll that came out and said that public opinion is radically turning against the Walt Disney Company for a number of reasons, not just because they fired Gina Carano, but what they did with Mulan, what they kind of just all of their hypocrisy. With what they say that they believe, and then they do the opposite, minimizing Finn on The Last Jedi or the Force Awakens poster for China, basically just getting rid of his storyline in The Last Jedi. You even have so there are people that spoke up about that stuff. You had the Abrams editors who edited The Force Awakens called out Rian Johnson and Disney for altering what the story had been for that. And then even with a little bit of with the guy Trevorrow, Colin Trevorrow, who's supposed to do the third film, I'm pretty sure he probably leaked all of those concept art for what his movie was, and then that script obviously was making it around too. And then he like the day after, he was like, yeah, that's mine. He like confirmed it. So it's like, okay, did you leak it? You probably leaked it.
Probably did.
So you see, there's some stuff like that. But I think you're right that they need to it needs to be much like, and like we said, George Lucas did call them white slavers, and he said that Force Awakens didn't have anything new to it. So it's like minor criticism. But yeah, I think and that's why I called out Bill Burr and the Mandalorian co-stars in my video and in the article, is that I think that these people need to do a lot more.
Yeah, they do.
And you're right. They have much more sway. Like you were saying, I think that we are having an effect, but those people have way more sway.
Yeah, they do. And you know, it seems like nothing's really changing, doesn't it? Because Kathleen Kennedy's still there. You know, they're still putting out all these news that Star Wars is the best thing since sliced bread, especially with Doctor Who. Don't even get me started with Doctor Who. And you know, they're still doing that. But it just seems like we're not making an impact, but you know more than me. So you're saying that we are making it, which makes me happy.
I think there's a huge impact happening. I mean, we just look at how many people are just turning off Doctor Who just in the UK. I mean, what is it, the 13th season or whatever, 13th series. I don't watch Doctor Who, so I'm not like an expert on it. but you see that just the number.
You got the Tom Baker in the corner.
He's got Tom Baker in the corner. Sorry, John.
It's autographed. Autographed.
Oh, cool. Sorry, John. Go ahead, mate. Go on.
Their numbers have absolutely just tanked.
Yep, they have.
And then look at Star Wars, the same thing.
Yeah.
They were at box office revenue for Force Awakens was $2 billion. The Rise of Skywalker barely made it over $1 billion. DVD and Blu-ray sales dropped over 65% from Force Awakens to Rise of Skywalker. Solo, after The Last Jedi, actually lost money for Lucasfilm. So that is happening. People are tuning out. Merchandise sales for Star Wars. Disney even admitted that they were losing money on Star Wars. Like they had or maybe not losing money, but they had a significant decline in merchandise sales from Star Wars products back in 2019 in their Q3 report.
Yeah, but you got to use logic here, right? So you're Bob Paycheck, Bob Paycheck. You're Bob Paycheck, right? And you're sitting there and you're looking at the stats and you're not doing anything about it. You're not firing Catherine Kennedy. Now, this doesn't make any sense to me. None of this makes any sense. There's got to be something going on in that camp that you don't know about, that none of the Phantom Menace knows about. Because there's no way you could hire someone and you're Disney, you're in charge of Lucasfilm and seeing the money being drained. She must have some kind of contract that she doesn't leave until doomsday or something like that. Do you know what I mean? That's got to be it. I don't know. Doesn't make any sense. None of it logically makes any sense to me at all.
Well, so how I kind of explain it now is it's these people are all bought in as well. Like their whole thing is that their goal now isn't about physical revenue, money like that. That's not their goal. Their goal is control and power, and that's their currency that they're really working on. And so that's why it's worth it for them to maybe take those financial losses because they're so huge now. I mean, they're making like they bring in billions of dollars every single year in revenue. So, and that's even during the pandemic. But and that's how I kind of look at it now. When you look at it from the fact that they don't care about the money and it's more about control and power, and you look at it from that perspective, and I think it makes a whole lot more sense on why they would be making those decisions.
Well, it doesn't make any sense to me. Control and power on what? So basically, you make you take Star Wars and you make it into whatever you want to make it into, the most wokest thing in the world, and people don't go and see it. How are you going to have any power when people don't go and see it? How are you going to make any more money if people don't go and see it or don't buy the product? That's not power. That's literally digging yourself a grave. That makes no sense to me. Using logic.
In the long term, yes, but in the short term, they're like, if you look at it from a long term perspective, yeah, but in the short term, you have to look at it because you can't just look at it from purely their perspective. You have to look at it from what's happening in our country politically too. And I think just look at where we're at right now. It's hard not to argue that those films that they're making and the propaganda that they're pushing isn't affecting the political landscape and society at large.
You think that the human race would learn from their mistakes? They did that in Germany, the war. I can't say that word, but they did that, didn't they? With propaganda films and stuff like that. You know, that's what I'm saying. You think people would learn from their mistakes? You know, it's obvious what they're doing. But yeah, I don't know. I give up. My brain hurts. I don't want to talk about this anymore because it makes no sense. No sense.
I think I'm going to have to watch Faulty Towers, the Germans tonight.
Yeah.
Don't mention the war. I think I got away with it.
How comes you like the British stuff so much, Father? I don't understand.
I have. Well, maybe it's because I'm Irish. I don't know. I just love British comedies. I have Faulty Towers on DVD. I have the whole IT crowd, and I'm still upset. I just discovered that yesterday about the speech. I don't know if you saw that, John. Are you familiar with the IT crowd?
No, but I did see that in the fact that I guess that was from October where they changed that. Yeah. But we might put that
probably
put that
the
up.
best, one of the best episodes.
Yes, it is, and yeah, it's hilarious. And I remember watching that episode, and it's probably been cancelled now. That episode, right?
It's been removed from their website, I think.
It's crazy because that's such a funny episode. It's so funny. But I don't know, mate. As I said, the world's going crazy.
I think I could probably show part of it.
You want to be cancelled?
Hey, I don't care. Let's see. Okay, it's only a 2-minute clip. Let's get. I got a stupid video thing at the beginning. Hold on.
Like an ad, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Let's see. And now I can always clip it out if it gets copyrighted.
Darling, couldn't we do this at home? I was hoping we could get shit-faced and watch the telly.
Profanity warning.
There'll be no more getting shit-faced and watching the telly.
Oh, profanity.
There'll be no more Steven Seagal marathons. And there'll be no more paintballing weekends. I'm afraid our adventure has come to an end.
What? But why?
It's not you, it's me. No, actually, it's not me. It is you.
You don't think of me as a woman, do you?
What? Of course I do.
It bothers you that I used to be a man.
No! I love that you used to be a man. It's your thing. I love thinking about that operation that you had.
Oh, please, look at me. I am a woman. This is a woman in front of you.
Excuse me.
I'm a woman.
You're tearing me apart.
Please, Douglas.
I'm sorry. It's beyond my control.
Please, Douglas. Please.
Just go. You're making this harder for me.
How could you do this? How could you do this to me?
I love this fight. So fun.
You bastard.
Oh my god. Holy moly.
They banned this. You can see why they banned it.
Oh my god. Oh my god!
That's so funny.
I can't play the clip where
I wish you a speech about the internet.
Oh,
That's so funny.
No, it was that when she told him that she used to be a man, he thought
of
that
course,
she said she was from Iran.
From Iran. No, she was from Iran.
Iran.
Yeah. It's as I said, it's fun, but these people find fault in anything and they want to cancel. It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, that clip's a lot of fun.
They
it's silly.
make an American version.
Yeah, they did. They did a pilot.
They did, and it was horrible.
It was horrible. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to roll out. I gotta go bring
no
the groceries in. Thank you for having
Thanks,
me,
John.
Nice meeting you, Ian. Nice meeting you. Yep. Have a great day.
Thank
We'll
you,
talk
John.
to you later.
See you later. Ta-da. No, I just don't understand what's going on. Yeah.
But I mean, if I remember correctly, they had Moss on it.
They did. The original
And
actor.
Even that didn't.
It didn't work
Didn't
because
help
they changed the dynamics of it.
And the American version of Life on Mars was pretty much the pilot was pretty much word for word almost as the British version.
Yeah.
And I kind of liked it up until the very end.
Mm.
Because I don't know if you've seen the American version.
Well, they canceled the show, so they had to think of a way to really quickly finish it up.
But I mean, they basically, it takes place in like 2033. They're on a mission to Mars, and Gene Hunt is like the Sam Tyler's dad or something like that. One of President Obama's daughters is the president.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
rubbish.
I enjoyed the series up until the very end. I mean, it's amazing how those last 5 minutes can destroy a series.
Yeah. No, you're totally right. I mean, the last season of Dexter was terrible. They literally destroyed
I never
it
saw the
completely.
last season.
Terrible, absolutely terrible.
What was it I was going to mention? Oh, I was going to mention, so when Doctor Who came on, I was so thrilled. And in America, when it first aired, when Eccleston's version aired, it was 6 months after it aired in Britain.
Yeah.
It wasn't until like the second or third season they were on at the same time. I kind of had a little breakdown because at the seminary there was only 2 TVs,
Uh-oh.
And one of our Peruvian seminarians was watching something. It's like, I've been waiting 15 years for this show. I want to watch it. I'm kind of having a breakdown because...
Stamping your feet, having a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
It's like, I am going nuts. But
well, there were no VCRs?
It just
you should have snuck out at night, Father, and gone to someone's house to watch it.
Well, but this is in Philadelphia, and I'm not from Philly.
Oh.
So it's not like I don't have any place. I mean, outside of a bar, but even then.
Yeah, going to a bar and say, turn on Doctor Who, and they're watching football.
So, now, I lived in Ohio for a few months after college, and I remember going to the bar to watch South Park there. And this is during its first season because people were watching it at the bar.
South Park. I mean, you know, as I said, in my congregation, the priests that I know, they basically hate things like that. South Park, Father Ted.
Well,
they got real problems
the thing is,
with it.
I wish they wouldn't use. I wish they wouldn't use the Lord's name in vain as much as they do. And as I told Gary, I mean, I wouldn't be following his channel if profanity really bothered me.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows that I don't like the Lord's name being used, and he does try to watch it, and he even apologizes on stream when he does that.
He does, yeah.
So,
he does. Yeah.
But I mean, I gotta say, I think I've been following Gary now for about almost 3 years, I think.
I think how I got involved is I basically was watching Doctor Who, I think it was I can't remember, it was 10-1 or whatever. I always had a problem with Doctor Who, right? I have a love-hate relationship with Doctor Who. I remember it was a Peter Capaldi episode, I think it was, and it was so bad. I started looking up to see reviews on it. Every review was saying it was brilliant and stuff like that. And then I came across Bolstrek, and Bolstrek was saying exactly what I was thinking. I was like, oh my God, somebody's literally doing it. Like, he's the only one. And then through him, I found Gary, and that's how I got to know Gary and Bolstrek.
I think it was right about the time of The Last Jedi is when I first discovered, because I just remember walking out of the theater stunned.
Yeah.
I was actually telling myself it was okay. I mean, it didn't feel right, but, you don't come out of a theater thinking Star Wars sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the thought you're supposed to have.
Yeah. No, I basically came out of Force Awakens really, really disappointed that I didn't see Luke and Leia and stuff. I remember actually the first time I saw it, I was really disappointed with it. Everybody was saying to me it was brilliant, it was great, it was this, that, the other. And I kept saying, no, I have a huge problem with it, and had huge discussions, heated discussions with people. But now everybody basically agrees with me. When they look back at it, they agree.
I do got to mention with Father Ted, there's no way Dougal would have been ordained. In real life, there is no way he would be ordained.
What about Mrs. What's her name? I can't remember the woman that serves
the
tea.
housekeeper?
Yeah. She's amazing. She's so funny.
I just saw that Mary died.
Mary?
What's the married couple that is always fighting? Tom and Mary, I think it is.
Oh, yeah. She died, yeah.
She just died.
Yeah.
So that was sad to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet you they wouldn't be even, in Ireland especially, they wouldn't be allowed to do Father Ted anymore because it's so politically incorrect.
No, I mean, they're more lenient now, Ireland. But
no. I mean, they've gotten all, not for the reasons about the religion. I'm saying that because of has a lot of politically incorrect things.
They do, but that's the strength of the show.
Well, of course, it's the strength of the show, and that's why comedy is dead. I mean, I'm not watching anything new. It just really occurred to me, as far as comedies, as far as anything else, I'm just watching all the old stuff because the new stuff is complete garbage. It's not funny. It's not funny, and it's not fun. The only thing I'm watching new is actually I watched WandaVision, and I don't know if there's something wrong with me, but I wasn't as upset as other people were.
It was all right. Yeah, it was all right.
I thought
harmless.
especially the first half of it was incredibly strong, and the last half it turned into, well, just like a Marvel thing.
It was always going to do that.
Yeah, I think what happened with WandaVision was all the publicity machine and some of the things the stars said led the fans to think that there was more to it than there was, which is really stupid. But they do it all the time. It's like a thing, like they in their publicity they say one thing and then the show they do something else. That's why I always like to wait until something actually comes out, even something that I think might really tick me off. I'm like, is it really going to be this bad, or is it just because the actors have got that little card on their publicity sheet?
I don't know. Have you? Sorry, just going off the subject slightly, Mrs. Doyle. Have you guys heard of Dave Allen?
No.
The comedian Dave Allen. Ah, he's smiling. No?
No, I haven't.
Fraser? No, you've never heard of Dave Allen, Fraser?
Well, wait, did you say? I don't know what's he been on.
Okay, so Dave Allen is a comedian. He's not alive now, but he was a huge star in the 70s and coming up to the 80s. He was a comedian, and he was Irish. And he used to do sketches of priests and stuff like that, and take the Mickey out the Catholic faith, whatever. And the BBC was a BBC show, BBC Two, and I think he got excommunicated from the Catholic faith. I think at one point. Yeah.
Well, no, you can't just get excommunicated.
I don't know. Something happened to him. My dad, right, used to cry with laughter watching his show because he used to do loads of sketches about priests doing silliness and stuff like that. And he was very, very funny. And every time he finished the show, he always used to say, "Thank you, and may God go with you." That was his line every time he finished an episode of his show. So he did a stand-up thing, and then he had clips that they shot of sketches, and most of them were about priests or whatever. But are you looking them up, Father?
No, I found a clip I was going to show. I found a clip from another British show that I like.
What's that?
At Last, the 1948 show, I think it is. At Last, the 1948 show. It was pre-Monty Python. Whoops, I forgot to click sound. Let me try this again. Okay. Here we go.
Wow, this is old.
Let's learn the English.
Wait till you see who's in it.
Today, as usual, we speak only the English. Today, the tea party.
Oh, I've seen this.
I am a chartered accountant. I am also a chartered accountant. I am a chartered accountant, too.
I am a gorilla.
All four of us are chartered accountants. And we are having tea. This is the sugar.
Sugar.
This is a cup of tea.
Cup of tea. And this is a greenhouse.
I put the sugar into the cup with the greenhouse or spoon.
Yes, spoon or greenhouse.
What is it?
Will this come across as racist, by the way?
Spoon.
Oh, with some of the words they use in it, yeah.
A gorilla.
What are these?
These are surgical trusses.
No, they are not surgical trusses. They are cakes.
King Alfred burnt the surgical trusses.
The cakes are on a plate. The plate is on a trolley.
The trolley is on the table. It also goes through windows. The gorilla is cross with the
See that?
producer
You can use.
because the gorilla
see
is
what I'm saying.
underpaid. If he were paid more, he might become a chartered accountant.
What the?
see how the gorilla pours hot tea on the accountants? No, they are scolded. The gorilla is a reasonable man, but he has been provoked. The gorilla is now happy to be a chartered accountant. I am a chartered accountant.
I am also a chartered accountant. I am a chartered accountant, too.
I am a chartered accountant, but I'm thinking of becoming a gorilla.
Marty Feldman.
Love Marty Feldman.
Marty Feldman.
Yeah.
He was big at one point. Yeah. Those
He died.
wonderful eyes. Yeah.
His last movie I need to get on DVD, Blackbeard or Yellowbeard, I think it was.
All right.
I was going to say Blackbeard is something entirely different.
Isn't that Disney film? Blackbeard.
Well, no, you know, based on a very brutal pirate.
Oh, you haven't seen this one then?
Uh-oh.
I mean, I know that that spawned into, because every one of these shows was before Two Ronnies, Morecambe and Wise, Monty Python, and all those people you see on screen. They all went to Oxford, and you know they're all very well to do, and that was the comedy in those days, very much upper class humor. And then it spawned Monty Python, Two Ronnies, and you know the rest is history. Mm-hmm. So that was the humor in the 50s.
It's still good though. I mean, well, this was early 60s show, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, well, figured we go to the top of the hour, so it's almost noon here.
Right.
Any last thoughts? We're doomed.
No.
No, we're happy, faithful people.
I say what
Sitting
I
around
say.
crying into our pillows every night.
I say pray. That's what I say. Pray. Pray. That's what I say. That's the only thing that's going to save us, I guess. Everything else in this world is.
Here we go. One last clip.
There we go.
Yeah.
Whoops. Forgot.
Sound.
My favorite prayer is, why, God? Why?
Yeah.
Psalm 22, best psalm ever.
Tonight at 11.
Doom! There you go.
Oh, that's me. Flee for your life.
You saw that they're trying to cancel one of the Futurama episodes.
They're all mad. They're trying to cancel things. Look, that was history. These things that happened in the past, that's all part of history. They're trying to cancel history. It's ridiculous. Absolutely. You can't, no matter how much they try, they can't cancel history because it's part of history, you know? So
you can't change the future if you don't know the past.
That's right. Absolutely. And you can't improve in the future if you don't know the past as well. So it's really important that you know the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Father, I always hand it to you every time I talk to you because you priest, oh my gosh.
You do have a lot on your plate, and you do have, especially in this world now. Do you know what? If you go back loads of years, it was all about stabbing people and I hate to say it, nailing people, whatever. But now it's all very subtle. It's through the art of technology that a lot of badness is coming into the world. So, you know, you've got a huge job on your hands, you and everybody else. So
yeah, and I mean the thing is that scares me is I probably said the kids are getting hooked on this stuff a lot earlier age. They're getting exposed to a lot of the bad stuff at an early age.
Yeah.
I mean, technology is great, but it comes with its drawbacks.
It does. It's an addiction if you keep looking at your phone. If you get up and you look at your phone, you know you're addicted, isn't it? And so it's an addiction, isn't it? Like everything else.
Well,
I guess.
With that, I'm going to thank everybody for watching. Please hit the ring bell to be notified when there's new videos. Be sure to share and like. And until next time, next month, we'll talk to you all later.